See, when immigrants came here, their biggest thrill was to make a life for themselves. They came here with pennies in their pockets, and they built this city. And you want to talk about slums, and you want to talk about how the Italians were treated, the word Guinea? We were actually beneath the Irish and the blacks in early New York.
Yeah.
But yet, we managed to pull ourselves up. You know, I believe in a helping hand, but a helping hand has got to be withdrawn at some time, and you got to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet.
This is Vickie Paladino, a Republican who represents Northeast Queens in the New York City Council. A staunch Trump supporter, Vickie has become infamous for her incendiary social media posts and public tirades. Yet within City Hall, she's also known for her close relationships with her Democratic colleagues, in part because she's a reminder of a New York that is fast disappearing. We recently sat down together at her district office in Queens. Councilmember Vickie Paladino, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me today. I think it's an honor.
You got to politics a little bit late. You don't have like the typical origin story of a politician. So you're working for your sister.
Yes.
And one day, it's 2017, I think.
It was 2017.
You run into the mayor at the time, a fellow named Bill de Blasio.
Right. Well, I wasn't working for my sister. My sister, Joanne, and I separated in 2016. I said, you know what? My sister Patty had passed away. And I said, Joe's, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to break it off now. And it all was fine. Everything was good. And then 2017, 1 year later, is when de Blasio came barreling down Francis Lewis Boulevard, which is right outside the door here. And my husband said, hey, Vic, look, there's the mayor. I said, pull the car over.
It was a potential face-off with a feisty 63-year-old mother from Queens who caused Mayor de Blasio to turn and run.
My name is Vickie Paladino.
Could you spell it for us?
Sure. Paladino, Paladino.
The woman in the white shirt single-handedly brought WrestleMania to the streets of Whitestone, Queens. But her opponent, Bill de Blasio, was no Hulk Hogan or The Rock. He was more like the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz.
So I waited for the BNC reporters to stop because he was preaching about $18 million that he was going to spend in District 19 to do trees and concrete. Okay, so I'm listening, and he gets up, and when everybody was done, I was very polite, and I raised my hand. I said, excuse me, Your Honor, you didn't take any questions from a concerned citizen. So he's, all right, what is your question?
I want to know why you let your police officers down and our country down by going to Germany and protesting against our country.
She was referring to de Blasio's controversial trip to speak at a protest rally in Germany only hours after police officer Mio Sota's familiar was killed.
Look, you're supposed to be the mayor in New York. Get yourself back here. You're the first mayor that this city, the police department, has turned their back on. 2 major funerals, 4 police officers assassinated. Don't talk to me about $18 million to trim trees and fix concrete. You see, you're in the land of landscapers and contractors. We could take care of our own trees and our own concrete. Put the money in your police officers' pockets so they don't have to work 2 and 3 jobs. Bam.
Yeah, becomes a big news story.
Viral.
And now you're a conservative Republican lawmaker in New York City.
Yes.
Which is going to sound like an oxymoron to a
Correct.
lot of people. You were just reelected in the same race were Zohran Mamdani.
Right.
Somebody who I think it's fair to say you oppose.
So absolutely, and most 100%, yes.
We're meeting just about 10 days before he gets, or 2 weeks before he gets inaugurated.
Yes.
Formally becomes the next mayor of New York City.
Yes.
What bothers you about Zohran Mamdani the most?
His approach to just about everything that he thinks he's going to be able to do.
Like what?
The police.
Yeah.
His public safety stance. His anti-Semitic values. His father being a Marxist communist. That's what he teaches in Columbia University. He helped organize a lot of these college campus so-called peaceful protests. Look at his background. You don't have to dig deep. All you got to do is scratch the surface to find out who Zohran Mamdani is.
Well, who do you think he is?
I think he's an anti-Semite, anti-American, anti-Western civilization type candidate.
By the way, have you met him yet?
Not yet.
Are you going to meet him on his inauguration day?
No.
No. But you hope to meet him?
I do.
Yeah.
And I will.
What are you going to say to him?
Hello.
That's it? You're going to feel him
Shake
out?
his hand, have a seat, let's have a conversation. Because when I stand for something, I don't stand to the right or to the left. I am somebody that you could call is a dead center, common sense, outspoken person. That's who I am.
A lot of people would say that you're very right-wing.
I know. Isn't it something? Too bad for them. That's because you disagree with them. This is the funniest thing about the DSA and these radical left-wing lunatics.
Yeah.
If you dare to step out of the nice, neat box that they've built around themselves, well, then guess what? You're automatically their enemy. Whereas if I step out of the box, that means I'm thinking outside of the box, different ways in which we could solve problems, where we could come to center ground and sit around a table and discuss the issues with a logical, this is the reaction to this action. You want to get rid of the millionaires? I got news for you, Zoran. And the billionaires, they make up 1%. If it wasn't for the millionaires and the billionaires, New York City would cease to exist. Are you aware of that? Legalizing marijuana. Why don't we think about that and the consequences that it's going to bring? Setting up injection sites throughout Harlem and throughout the worst neighborhoods in the city, and how it's going to tear the city down and bring these neighborhoods down instead of building them up. Why don't we figure this out before you go passing what should never have been passed? Because we're suffering the consequences now. Mental illness. We're seeing people walking around stoned all the time. This is absurd. This is not real life. And you're telling people to stay home in their pajamas and work from home remotely instead of filling up the empty buildings that we have in Lower Manhattan with people who go to work to fix our economy, to put the hot dog guy back on the street, to put the barber back in the barber shop, to put the clothing people back in business, the small shops, the way they hustle and the bustle of lunch hour, after work at 5 o'clock, the bars that would fill up, the dinner, the restaurants. You know, whether you're 2-star, 5-star, didn't matter. People were making a living. This city had a heart. This city went tick, tock, tick, tock. The clock has died, and it's going to die even worse than we've ever seen it die before. So if I'm passionate, you bet I'm passionate, because I love my city, and I love the people who live in it.
You have kind of, I would say it's a famously good working relationship with your Democratic colleagues.
I do.
You get along with them very well.
Very well.
They'll compliment you off the record.
Yes.
Sometimes they'll compliment you on the record.
Yes.
They like you.
Yes.
And there's that side of you. And then there's kind of the Twitter side of you,
Yes.
which is a little bit more incendiary.
Yes.
All right. And so we need to talk about
Sure, go right ahead.
your most recent tweet.
Yeah.
All right. We need
Yeah.
all right. You tweeted this, I should say. This is after the Bondi Beach massacre of Jews.
I was furious.
Yes, during Hanukkah,
Yep.
celebrating Hanukkah
Yep.
by two people who apparently self-radicalized and became adherents of the Islamic State, according
Correct.
to the Australian government.
Correct.
And in the hours after that, you said, we need to take very seriously the need to begin the expulsion of Muslims from Western nations, or at the very least, the severe sanction of them within our borders. So talk to me about that.
Look, when that tweet went out, and I make no bones about it, the only thing I should have changed was the word Muslim, so not to encompass an entire group of people.
Right, because I imagine you have Muslims in your district.
I do, but
I
not
imagine you
many.
have
But you know
Muslims
what? It
above-
doesn't even matter
Yeah.
whether they live in my district or not. Doesn't
people.
matter. They're people.
Created in the image of God.
There you go.
Yeah.
100%. So, however, we've got to deal with the fact that there is an extreme population of the Muslim population that are radical extremists that want to bring death to America. And what they are doing worldwide now, worldwide. What's going on in England, everybody, when they had to shut down century-old Christmas markets? In Sweden, in Switzerland, what's going on? What's going on in Italy when they burned to the ground just the other day, not long ago? Nobody reports this. It's called Santa's House. They burned it to the ground. They firebombed the markets just so they could stop other people's ways of life. Does anybody know what they're doing in Paris or what they're not doing in Paris this Christmas season?
They've canceled Christmas.
They've canceled Christmas,
yeah.
and they canceled New Year's by lighting up the Eiffel Tower. Are we going to continue to take a knee to these people, or are we going to stand up and are we going to say, no, you may not do that? You have your beliefs, we have our beliefs. And how dare you try to take over? And that's what they're doing. They are trying to take over Western civilization. I will not stand for it. Others like me will not stand for that. You want to call me a right-wing extremist? Too bad. Nonsense. Find another word, because you couldn't be more wrong. You know, when you ask Zoran, who he hung out with prior to his being elected, death to America, they chanted. Okay, burning the American flag. America deserved 9/11. These are all people he surrounds himself with. This is real life. This is what's happening. Shame on the Democratic Party for not standing up to Zoran Mamdani by saying simply this: you are not a Democrat. You are a Democrat socialist. That should be your party line. You don't belong on our party line. If they had any guts.
The Democratic Party is certainly changing a lot.
Yes.
And then on the Republican side of things, we're getting a lot of weirdness too.
That's true.
You're somebody who hates anti-Semitism.
I
can
hate
tell
it.
that. You got a bone deep hatred of
Yes,
anti-Semitism. And the right has this problem. You know Nick Fuentes? You ever know that name?
I know the name, but I don't know him.
So he's this like anti-Semitic troll. He's a big online presence. And, you know, he's basically a fascist. He has a weird relationship with the Trump coalition. But, you know, Tucker Carlson brought him on.
I have no...
They had a very friendly conversation. Do you follow any of this with like Candace Owens or anything like that?
No, I hear about it.
Yeah.
And I dismiss Candace Owens. I have a very good defense mechanism in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I shut them down. Tucker, I don't know what happened to him.
You think he snapped
I
something?
do.
Yeah.
I think it happened when he had to lock his wife in a closet. Remember when his life was threatened?
Oh, wait, it went down in D.C. when there's the big protest outside his house.
I think that really did it.
Yeah.
You know, a person in the spotlight can take just so much before, you know, when your wife and your kids are threatened the way they were.
Yeah.
But that had to be rough. And I think when he moved to a New England state, I don't even know.
He's up in Maine, yeah.
Is he in Maine? I think you do that to escape, but he's also locked himself, I think, in some sort of strange bubble.
Yeah.
You know, Candace Owens, I don't know where she's at.
Yeah.
I mean, how somebody could ride a tide so well and be so articulate and then crash and turn into whatever this is, I don't even know.
You just shut him out?
I shut him out.
Yeah.
Because I cannot allow that to cloud any way in which common sense thinking should be happening.
Mm.
Anything too far to the left or too far to the right, no good. And you know what? A lot of people don't realize this about Trump, and I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is really a middle-of-the-road type guy. And that's why he's pissing off so many of these super right-wing.
You mean like MTG, you're talking about Thomas Massey.
That's why he's pissing these people off.
Yeah.
Because he's not that way.
Yeah.
He was born and raised the same way I was.
Yeah.
And he's a businessman. And these people can go off their rocker. You can't have that. And because he is who he is, and he says what he says, I say what I say. But that doesn't make me a right-wing extremist. That makes me Vicky.